But they also revealed the bracket for the World Title Eliminator, with the finals taking place at Full Gear as it did last year. The tournament kicks off on Rampage this Friday. The first round has Jon Moxley one-on-one against Preston Vance. That's 10 of the Dark Order. Orange Cassidy one-on-one with Powerhouse Hobbs. Bryan Danielson against Dustin Rhodes. And Eddie Kingston against Lance Archer. I see Moxley meeting Orange Cassidy in the semis after the way that Moxley just destroyed Wheeler Yuta on Dynamite last night. Orange Cassidy did not seem to take too kindly to that when he got into the ring to help out his friend. So that seems to be teasing that as a match. I think Moxley wins that and goes on to the finals. On the opposite side of the bracket, I would not sleep on Bryan against Dustin. I know it's disappointing, to see Dustin and not have a different name or a bigger name in there. It's predictable. Nobody actually thinks that Dustin Rhodes is going to beat Bryan Danielson in the first round. I think it'll be a good match, though. I don't remember ever seeing Daniel Bryan against Goldust. Not that Daniel Bryan against Goldust was a match I was clamoring to see. Although Goldust, when he was tagging with Cody and they were feuding with The Shield in late 2013, was just fucking fantastic. I mean, then the match at Battleground, and they did some pretty incredible stuff. So I'm sure it would have been a good match. I don't ever remember seeing them against each other, though. So I think it'll be a good match. I do think they could have swapped out Dustin and Preston Vance for better names. Bryan against Dante Martin would have been a lot of fun to see. Or maybe even save the Bryan match with Bobby Fish instead of doing it last night. Maybe save it for the first round of the tournament. But on the flip side, I also understand them not wanting to, take bigger names. Let's say a Ricky Starks or a Miro, someone on that level, or even someone bigger, and just bounce them out of the opening round. That's the issue you run into. Yeah, Bryan against Ricky Starks would be great. But should Bryan be beating Ricky Starks in the opening round of this tournament? Or do you save that for a match on television down the road? I would save that. So that's the issue you run into, right? How big of a name do you really want to put in there with him? I mean, Dustin at one time was a pretty big name. He's not as big anymore, but he's an established name. He's a name for Bryan to beat. So I get it. I mean, but in the same token, the brackets, they obviously could have been better. But I get why they did it this way. CM Punk, they're keeping him away from the title for now and going slow with him, having him build up a win streak. But you have Will Hobbs in the tournament, even though Will Hobbs lost to CM Punk on TV a few weeks ago. I don't see the point, even still, though, of having Punk in the tournament, so I can understand keeping him out of it when you can promote Punk for a different match on that pay-per-view. Why put him in the tournament when you can get a different match out of him at Full Gear? So Bryan is going to advance. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Lance Archer against Eddie Kingston should have Archer going over because he should at least win one fucking match in this damn thing before Bryan beats him. And then we get Bryan against Moxley in the finals. And we were talking about this on the live stream last night. If Moxley is going heel, and there's nothing to suggest, as far as any leaked reports or anything that he's going heel, but just, you see the way he acted on TV last night. He seemed to be in a bad mood. And frankly, I think maybe to freshen him up a little bit, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have him go heel and start showing maybe a more vicious side to him. If Moxley were to be going heel soon, and if Hangman, let's say, is going to win the championship from Kenny, Moxley could win this tournament. It is not a done deal guarantee that Bryan is going to win the whole thing. Moxley could win to set up a title match with Hangman Page. I think a Moxley heel turn, though, absolutely could happen. But it would make more sense for it to happen if he loses in the finals, not if he wins. He loses. He falls short against Danielson. And that could be what sends him off the deep end. That could be what leads to the heel turn. So I still think Danielson wins the whole thing, regardless of who walks out of the pay-per-view with that title. I think Danielson is my pick to win the entire thing. Now, Dynamite is delayed until Saturday again this coming week. We're going to get Cody Rhodes one-on-one with Malakai Black Part 3. I was hoping against hope they would have Malakai win match number 2. And he did. He had a cheat to do it, but he won, right? Back-to-back matches against Cody. Now I feel like I'm getting a little greedy if I say that Malakai should win for a third straight time. I do think Malakai should win for a third straight time. But they're doing like this Rocky 3 or Rocky 4 redemption story here with Cody. He's gone back to basics. Arn Anderson has sent him back to basic training. If you watch that vignette on Dynamite last night, he's trying to get in Cody's head and tell him, look, you got to focus here. So it's this great babyface story that they're telling. I would be very surprised to see Malakai Black get 3 straight wins over Cody Rhodes. I think Malakai's luck has run out. I'd like to be wrong about that. We'll see. Now, at the Jaguars game the other day, Tony Khan was photographed on the sidelines holding a notebook, and visible on his notepad was a page that had scribbled on it what appears to be the card for Full Gear, with matches that up to that point had not yet been publicly announced. Some of them have since been announced, but among them were Hangman against Omega, which seemed obvious, but it wasn't formally announced until last night. And yes, Bryan against Mox is another one that was listed on there. Although I think that would have been obvious regardless. I mean, just by looking at those brackets, I think most people would have guessed straight off that we were probably going to get Danielson against Moxley in the finals. But that looks to be the final. Although they could always shake things up and swerve us and go with a different opponent for Danielson in the finals. Inner Circle against American Top Team was listed, so that's got to be that 10-man tag that Jericho challenged them to last night. Punk is listed for a match against Wardlow, which could then lead us to that Punk MJF feud I've been waiting to see. MJF against Darby Allin. Adam Cole was listed against Christian Cage, who I think is going to lose that Impact World title to Josh Alexander of Bound for Glory next Sunday. Young Bucks against Jurassic Express. Lucha Bros against FTR for the tag titles, which had the word open next to it. So that may be the match that opens the show. It was not specified which titles would be on the line, if it's the AEW tag team titles, or if it's the AAA tag team belts that FTR just won, or maybe it's winner take all. Jade Cargill against Thunder Rosa, which they have been building to on TV. Britt Baker against a mystery opponent. The name, it doesn't look like the name maybe has been decided on yet. It was not filled in on the sheet. I'm guessing Anna Jay or Ty Conti. Britt Baker is facing Anna Jay non-title on Rampage this Friday. So if that's the full card, and maybe they'll add like a big multi-man tag match, but if that's the full card, that's a pretty strong card for the pay-per-view next month. And during an interview with Barstool Sports, Tony Khan said that he is in discussions with Warner Media about a way for fans to watch their entire AEW library. Said that he hopes to be able to make an announcement soon for the fans and how they can view everything, including past episodes of Dynamite, Rampage, Dark, past pay-per-views, and The House Always Wins, which was that live event that they taped from Daly's Place earlier this year that did not air anywhere, did not stream anywhere. Actually, I think that was the show where the Butcher injured himself. Because the Butcher only returned a few weeks ago. But he had suffered some kind of a thumb injury. I think he got hurt on that House Always Wins show. So he said it would happen soon, but he provided no further details because talks are still ongoing. So it may only be a matter of time before we get the AEW network. We have a WWE network on Peacock. We may soon have an AEW network.